I'm Rebecca Nieubuurt.
And I'm Rabbi Feuchs.
And we are here to introduce Chelsea to you all. I am the social worker that works with Jewish Family Services and TBE. And Chelsea.
And I am delighted to join this community as the Interim Director of Education for this upcoming school year.
So we're going to take this opportunity to talk to you and or introduce you to Chelsea in the form of an interview. So let's get right into it. Welcome to Ann Arbor, to Michigan, and to Temple Beth Emeth. I know it can be really intimidating to come to a new state and a new place that you don't really have any connections to. I am also new to the area. How are you settling in?
It's been great. I really love Ann Arbor. I'm embracing becoming a Michigander, and more specifically, it's been really lovely to be here at TBE. It's a really warm and welcoming community, which is something I felt even all the way back in the winter when I was here helping for coverage for the first part of Rabbi Winston's sabbatical. I was going back and forth between here in New York because I was still a student and finishing up my time at HUC. And even back then, even before when I was in Erev Rav, before I was technically a rabbi, the community was so supportive and so warm and really just welcomed me in so quickly. So it's great to be here now full-time and settling in. And I'm especially excited for a couple weeks from now for September to roll around and for families and the kids especially to come back into the building and brighten it up.
Yeah, well, I know that you blew them away when you came here in the winter and everyone was talking about how wonderful you were. But I know that you were, pretty stressed out in the midst of finishing up rabbinical school, and now you're done. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And how does that feel? How does it feel to be done with school and into this rabbinical world that you find yourself in now?
It feels so good. Rabbinical school was great. It's 5 years, after a college degree and sometime working. Going back into school for that long can be a lot in some ways and really amazing in others. So I'm a total nerd to the extent that it was actually mentioned under the huppah by the rabbi who married me and my husband this past summer. I love reading and learning about new things and sort of getting the context to plug all that new knowledge into. So I really enjoyed my classes. And at the same time, you're balancing that with internships where you're out in the world. And actually, that's where I found that I was feeling a lot more passionate. I loved being in congregational settings. I loved working with individuals, with families. And so getting to intern and get a taste of what it's like to actually be a rabbi was what helped get me through all of those midterms and finals and all of that.
There's an end in sight here. I'm going to actually get to do something I enjoy.
Exactly. So getting to be out in the community now and to use, all of the knowledge I was able to gather in school in service of others, their learning and building community, that's what I'm really excited about. So it feels really great to be ordained and now to be out in the world, as you say.
Well, that's wonderful, and I'm so happy that you landed here. Tell us a little bit about your Jewish journey. Like, what's your background, and what landed you here in this position?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a unique path, I guess, to the rabbinate. I was born into a Jewish household, but didn't have a lot of access to Jewish education growing up. And for a longer story for another time, my family actually found ourselves most welcomed at a Unitarian Universalist fellowship. So that's mostly where I came of age. I was really involved in that youth group, which was sort of a respite for me during high school, and just loved it there. And so I originally thought I wanted to be a Unitarian minister. That's sort of the path that I thought was open to me, and I loved being in community. I loved the service aspect of it and the bonding.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's the kind of leadership I want to do. And then I got really lucky because when I went to college, I had, Jewish education and heritage and community opened back up to me through the Hillel at my school. And it doesn't take so much to transform from saying, I think I want to be a minister to I think I want to be a rabbi.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I want to educate the world. And speaking of educators, I mean, who influenced your choice, and who did you meet at Brown, for instance, and the rabbinical school that really kind of guided you to this place?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I owe so much to Rabbi Mordechai Rackover, who was the rabbi at Brown Risdi Hillel, who we were sitting around during school orientation, and people were talking about when they became B'nai Mitzvah and their parties and all of that. And I actually did have an opportunity to become Bat Mitzvah before my family went to the Unitarian Fellowship. And I was saying how we served barbecue chicken pizza at my bat mitzvah because it was my favorite food. And everyone started laughing.
Because it's not kosher.
It's not kosher. But I didn't get the joke. Like, I didn't know anything about keeping kosher. So I just sort of sat there, like, nodding. And he could tell I didn't really know what was up. And offered to learn with me. And it was such an amazing thing to have someone say, you know, I want to welcome you in, I want to learn with you, and to never talk down to me or teach down to me. It was always, you know, I see you for who you are, the passion you have for learning, and you just don't know about these topics yet.
Right.
So really I credit so much to him. And then also throughout the years, I'll say every single Hebrew teacher I've ever had, and I've had definitely over half a dozen at this point, has been incredible and has this sort of infectious passion for Hebrew language, which I caught the bug and have loved that. And I also have to credit a lot to Dr. Adrienne Levine, who was my thesis advisor at HUC Rabbinical School and is a professor of Bible there. And Torah and Tanakh are my passions within Jewish learning, and so to have a teacher like her who saw that passion and helped to nurture it and also expand it beyond what I came in with really meant everything.
So you kind of are coming from the East Coast, right? You've had like Connecticut or Jersey, is that right?
I grew up in New York, spent some time in Boston, and then if you go even further east, I spent some time in Israel too. But that's...
Okay, so here you are in the Midwest. How did you get here? Why Ann Arbor and Temple Beth Emeth?
So like I think a lot of people, right, the university is a big draw here.
That's why I'm here.
Yep. So
spousal draw.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we connect over that. So my husband got an incredible job offer at University Hospital and is teaching and researching and working, you know, with residents, and just absolutely loves being there. And I was so thrilled he found a job that was the right fit.
Right.
I was equally thrilled that he found a job in a place that has a robust Jewish community.
Yeah.
And I got really, like, beyond lucky that there were multiple job openings in the area during the cycle that I was looking. And so it really did get to be a choice to be at TBE. So I went on interviews, and when I saw TBE, it was clear to me that this place was different. It's so dynamic, and people are so open to and passionate about engagement with one another and with the world around us, and it just feels, it feels really vibrant. So I was thrilled that there was an opening here and that I get to be part of this team.
Yeah, no brainer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that you know, your story, your Jewish coming of age, it resonates, I think, a lot with people here in this community, and I think with a lot of Jews in the Reform movement. So I'm happy to find you here and have a story that's, you know, not at all similar to mine, but somehow echoes for me. We've had some amazing leadership at the religious school. In fact, we named our religious school after Terry Ginsburg, and you're filling the shoes of Rabbi Daniel Alter, and I think they've done a great job. What are your strengths, and what do you hope to maintain in the program, and what are you offering that's new, and to bring us into 2023, 2024?
Yeah. I feel very, very fortunate to come into the school the way that it is, and to be trying my very best to fill both Terry Ginsburg and Rabbi Alter's shoes. I have so much that I'm grateful to them for. Both of them have offered so much help and support as I've come into the role. I got to shadow Rabbi Alter back in the winter when I was here, and I have ongoing conversations with Terry as well. So they've been so generous with their time and with their expertise and sharing that with me. And what I see in the school that is so strong and that I love so much is how again, I feel like a broken record here, but how warm and welcoming
Mhm.
it is. And that students from all different backgrounds, no matter what, level of religious practice or information they may have at home, no matter what their learning needs are, they have a pathway here to a quality Jewish education with teachers who are going to be, enthusiastic and supportive, and who bring not just content knowledge, which our teachers do bring, but like over and above that, they bring care and compassion and real love for our students, and they want our students to feel seen and valued. And I see that from top to bottom.
Right.
With all of those strengths in mind, we also have to acknowledge the ways that COVID and the restrictions around it have really impacted our ability to form a community.
Right.
So, we locked down responsibly and safely, and that was the right thing to do at the time. And especially, 3 years has an impact for all of us, but all the more so for kids.
Right.
And all the developmental phases they're going through, the friendships that they're forming, and they didn't get that opportunity to bond in the way that we would want them to. So we'll be doing a lot this year to try to increase the opportunities that our students have to get to know each other. Everything from sort of more casual get-togethers that happen inside or outside of this space, and we're going to really rely on parent leaders to help us out with that, because they know best what the kids are going to want to do with their time.
Right.
And we also have some other sort of programs and initiatives and communication systems that we're putting in place. And just as an example for one of them, I'm really excited for this initiative that we are launching called Family Camp. Our first one is going to be on Friday, August 25th, sort of our kickoff. And once a month, in addition to elementary Shabbat, so that's the elementary is the age group is targeted toward, but older and younger kids are welcome to come join too. We are going to play team building games together that help to build these relationships and friendships and strong ties, not just among the kids, but also their parents and caregivers. And I think it's going to be a blast. Every month is going to be themed a little bit differently. Cool. There will be some learning that comes into it. This first one is Jewish summer camp and like Maccabia themed, and we have a whole list of silly games that we're going to be playing. And really, we want to create more positive memories together as a family and with other folks in the community, being here in the TBE space and knowing like it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I really like that you are focusing on these, making bonds. One of the things that came up recently in my population with the elderly community was, you're part of a community when you see somebody at the grocery store that you also took aerobics class with. And I think for our kids, that's also very true. When you recognize there's another Jewish kid when you go, when you're playing baseball and they're on your team, and then you go to family camp at TBE and you see them there, then that strengthens that bond, and it also, provides a stronger foundation of their Jewish faith. And I think that's really powerful and such a smart and fun way of doing that for people. And to bring and have parents be involved too, which is really, I think, what you're really aiming for too.
Yes, we're really excited to have parents be involved, and also just to say, this is not just for parents who feel like, oh, I totally know the Hebrew and religious school curriculum down pat, like, test me anytime. It's not like that. We want this to be open and accessible to everyone who wants to come have fun with their kid, and so this is for parents who have who feel like they totally know so much about, formal Jewish education. This is for parents who have a big gap in the time that they've spent, in Jewish education settings. This is for Jewish adjacent parents who are not themselves Jewish, but are helping to raise children who are. There's no, really the goal is that there be no barriers that would make anyone feel like they can't participate fully in the fun.
Well, this is a super fun idea, and I'm excited to join. I'll be there on the 25th. You can count on that. So I can tell that you're passionate about bringing people back to Judaism, as you yourself kind of went through that. But what are your other passions within Judaism, and what do you do for fun?
So within a Jewish context, like I said, I love Torah and Tanakh. Specifically, I really love putting a feminist lens on Torah and Tanakh. I've taught about women in the Bible. I've taught, of all things, Leviticus through a gendered lens, and I swear it is really interesting. And we usually lose people
If
when we
you're
get
doing
into
it,
Leviticus.
it is interesting.
So that has all been wonderful and is something I hope to bring here too. And then I also really am passionate about and feel very fulfilled by the opportunities I have for pastoral care. I had the honor of getting to train as a chaplain in a hospital in New York 2 summers ago. And the way that people give you access to their inner lives and welcome you in and ask for help in order to feel, yes, they're being, treated for physical illness and they're looking to become physically whole, but also to search for that, emotionally and spiritually, and to be asked to help with that, to be invited in to help with that, really meant a lot.
Yeah.
And it's something that can continue and does continue here in synagogue life as well. There are individuals and families who are going through different struggles in life, and it can help to have, to have a rabbi, to have spiritual guidance. And certainly, what you do is incredibly important for those families as well. So I'm glad that we get to work in a team.
Right. Intersect in that way. That's great.
Yeah. And then for fun, well, I find all those things fun, but in addition, outside of a strictly Jewish context, I really love cooking and baking. Folks who come to the Friday Oneg will often find that I've made a little dairy-free. I have a dairy allergy, so to all the dairy-free kids out there, there's something for you at the Oneg most weeks.
That's great.
Yes, and then I love hiking, and sort of a little bit more off the beaten path, I guess, sort of activity is I love mixed martial arts. I've been doing MMA since I was in high school.
It's pretty cool.
So tough, so cool.
So tough.
And I actually got a chance to teach that at the URJ camp that I grew up at when I was there a few summers ago, as a empowerment, particularly a female empowerment activity that was just super, super fun. So there's never really an end to the Jewish context with me.
Oh yeah, of course not. No, I would be really disappointed if there were.
It's a full-time thing.
It's a full-time thing.
Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned a little bit, that our jobs do sort of intersect in that way, and I don't know how I find myself here talking to you when you look at us from the outside. My job is to work with the elderly. Your job is to work with kids. I don't work for TV, I work for Jewish Family Services, but I felt compelled to talk to you about all of this because, I've had a kid in religious school. I feel connected to TBE, and I know that we will continue to work together. We've already done so this summer, and it was really fabulous to have your pastoral care for my client, and thank you for that. I look forward to all of the family camps and religious school this year. It's going to be great. Yeah. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank
me.
You. The royal
we. Everyone watching this fabulous interview, and for taking the time to introduce yourself to the community. We are all so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm thrilled and very grateful for the opportunity, and I can't wait to get to know everyone and to work with you and with the whole community.
It's going to be great.